This video is suitable for the Level 3 Technical Certificate in Paper Making, and here we're going to talk about the development of tissue formers. When tissue was first produced, it was produced on a standard floor drainage. So we have the floor box, we have foils on the wire, we have suction boxes, we have a couch roll, and then off it went. But one of the problems with tissue is that it uses a lot more water. Because the grammage is so low, formation is especially important, because without good formation you're going to end up with holes in the sheet or extremely weak spots at the very least. And so by increasing the volume of water that's used, we increase the space between fibres and we therefore improve formation. So with tissue machines, you typically use somewhere between 10 and 1,000 times as much water as you would do with a traditional printing or writing paper. One of the first developments was the open breast roll. So what they did here, rather than having a solid breast roll, they had a mesh breast roll. And that way, when the stock came out of the floor box, you could push it through the wire and through the breast roll. And that helped with dewatering. But it wasn't quick enough. So the next development was this one. It was the inclined wire. So with the inclined wire, you can now push stock through the wire, and at the same time, you can have some suction device on the inside of the wire, so you can pull the wire through. So you've got this pushing action and pulling action, dragging the water through. As the wire extends down here, you've then got these very aggressively angled foils. On a typical foil drilling machine, foil angles are between 0 and 3 degrees. On an inclined wire machine, foil angles can be up to 25 degrees. But even that wasn't quick enough. So the tissue people have been watching the development in other parts of the industry. They saw what the newsprint machines were doing with the vertiformers, and they thought, well, we can have a go at that too. So they made their own version of the vertiformer. So we have an outer wire here, we have an inner wire here. This is a solid forming roll. As the two wires come together onto the forming roll, the stock is squirted in between the two wires. Bernoulli's theorem, which relates dewatering efficiency to radius of curvature and pressure of the outer wire, will force the wire through here into a servo. The sheet will then come off this bottom wire, the top wire will return around, the bottom wire will bring the sheet down here, got a transfer roll with a vacuum roll there, off into a press felt, and then towards the Yankee. Then Kimberly-Clark came up with an absolutely wonderful idea. They developed what we call the Crescent Farmer. In the previous slide, you saw that the sheet was produced between two wires. It was then transferred onto a felt, and then off it went into the Yankee. The Kimberly-Clark idea was not to form the sheet between two wires, but to form the sheet between a wire and a felt. So they came back to the old system where we've got a horizontal head box. You squirt the stock between this outer wire and a press felt. We've got Bernoulli's theorem operating again here, but now as dewatering occurs through the wire, when the sheet comes out, it is actually already attached to the press felt, and therefore there's no need to do a transfer. And every time you do transfers, there's always the opportunity for a break, so it reduces the number of breaks. You can increase machine speed, off it goes, and then directly onto the Yankee. So, summary of this little tutorial. Tissue has between 10 and 1,000 times as much water to remove as traditional paper, and therefore the whole focus of tissue forming is to remove lots of water as quickly as possible. Second point, almost every design change was aimed at removing water faster. So we went from a solid breast roll to an open breast roll so we could push the water through. We then went on to an incline wire where we could put vacuum on the inside of the wire and pull the water through that was being pushed through. And then finally we went on to a twin wire system where you could push water out of both sides of the wire and then onto the Crescent Farmer. And final point, the Crescent Farmer has one less transfer operation. You're squirting the stock between a wire and press felt, and when those two separate, it is already on the felt, so you've no need to transfer. Thank you for your attention, and I hope you will enjoy my other videos equally.